Kody Brown had put in a lot of time building a fresh start, far from Kody Brown's influence. She became the star who finally shared her real thoughts, the mom who picked her own path over being controlled, and the partner who walked away. Her supporters cheered her courage, especially when she pointed out Kody's favoritism and lack of attention, which matched what so many people watching the show had suspected for years. That's what made her latest comments hit so hard. In an interview, Kody looked happy, calm, and confident in her new world. She stared right at the camera and said Kody was a good guy. Those words, full of mixed messages, just lingered there. To her followers, it wasn't just a quick phrase. It felt like changing the whole story of the past. In her book, she had painted Kody as distant, domineering, and unfair. He was the one she held responsible for their marriage falling apart. But now, here she was giving him credit. Fans of Sister Wives couldn't believe it. Was Kody easing up? Was she looking out for her children? Or had she chosen calm feelings over holding grudges? No one knew for sure. It was clear that Kody's change in tone kicked off a whole new, unpredictable part in the Brown family's journey. Kody had used her book like a tool to lay out the facts. She didn't sugarcoat anything in those pages, sharing the pain of raising kids without her husband's real help, the emptiness of being with a man who didn't truly notice her, and the long stretch of time where her own wants didn't matter. The book let people see what really went on away from the cameras. The Kody in there wasn't just tough. She was deeply wounded by Kody's choices. She talked about how his affection seemed saved for just one relationship, how his moods swung wildly, and how her children felt left out because of his tough rules. Her words were straightforward and raw. They carried the weight of someone who had dealt with too much quiet hurt. And they connected with people. Her backers saw Kody as a lady who had finally taken back her say in things and her self-respect by stepping out of a story that Kody had run. That's why her new comment felt so out of place. How could the woman who called out Kody's flaws now say he was a good guy? Fans thought Kody was undoing the bold steps that had made her seem so powerful. But maybe there was something deeper than just a clash in her words. Perhaps Kody was adjusting her story for reasons that weren't clear to anyone yet, instead of wiping it away. Kody Brown's position was crystal clear and tough. When people asked him about fixing things with his children, many of whom had openly criticized how he treated them, he didn't talk about being patient, staying humble, or slowly building trust back. Instead, he laid down conditions. He said, "If they want a relationship with me, they have to follow my rules." It was a stark, no-nonsense demand. No room for give and take, no nod to the pain his kids had gone through. For many, it was the final sign that Kody put control ahead of real connections. How could a dad who had already lost so much still insist on total obedience before showing care? Fans were stunned and disappointed. Against this backdrop, Kody's recent words were even more confusing. She knew better than anyone how harsh Kody's strict demands could be. She had seen firsthand how his expectations crushed her children's hopes for true belonging. Yet Kody suggested that he might one day build stronger ties with those same kids. It created a real puzzle. On one side stood Kody, not willing to bend. On the other was Kody, speaking about chances and positive outcomes. Their kids were caught right in the center, between two very different views of what family means. While Kody's words might have sounded like praise for Kody, they actually showed something much deeper, a mom's strong drive to protect her children from lasting pain. She had lived through enough of polygamy to know how bitterness can tear things apart. Her kids had grown up seeing their dad give affection to one wife while holding it back from the others. They had dealt with separation, pushbacks, and unfair treatment. Some had shared their stories openly, with raw and honest hurt. Others had pulled back, choosing quiet over fights. Kody had carried all of that. By calling Kody a good guy, she wasn't erasing the past. She was planting an idea for what could come next. She wanted her children to believe they could fix things and that their dad would always be an option. If that door shut for good, the rejection might break them. Even if it was shaky, having some hope was better than giving up. Kody might never shift his ways. Kody knew that his rules and ego could keep him distant forever. But she also understood that her kids deserved the chance to decide for themselves. Her gentler words weren't really about Kody. They were about giving her children space to recover, to look forward, and maybe even to let go of the anger. The reaction from the public to Christine's comments came fast and strong. Fans who had once celebrated her as the toughest of the sister wives were caught off guard. Social media blew up with doubt. This isn't the Christine we know. Why is she sticking up for him now? How can she say he's a good guy after all he put her through? To many, Christine had stood for getting through tough times, proof that you could escape Kody's grip and come out stronger. She was the one who stood firm, refused to stay quiet, and showed her daughters what real strength looks like. Hearing her soften her stance felt like a letdown, not just to her own journey, but to the people who had rallied behind her. Some stood by her, saying Christine was showing real growth, picking peace over fights and taking the better path. Others thought she was being pushed into it again, maybe by the show's team, Kody himself, or the pressure to keep up a certain image. No matter the reason, there's no question that Christine's words shook people's trust in her. She had become more than the hero of Sister Wives. She had turned into someone fuller, real, complicated, imperfect, and hard to predict. Many saw Christine's sudden shift as a smart play, not true letting go. She had always been sharp and careful about what she shared on screen. What if this was another calculated step? By saying Kody was a good guy, Christine put herself in a better light. She showed everyone she could move past the hurt, without clinging to bad feelings or anger. In doing that, she turned the focus back on Kody. If she could speak kindly, his refusal to budge, his conditions, and his lack of concern for his kids looked even worse by comparison. It was a subtle move that highlighted Christine's kindness while exposing Kody's stubborn side. People who believed this said Christine was thinking ahead, more clever than before. But not everyone bought it. They wondered if Christine's choice was more about keeping herself safe than playing games. Maybe she wasn't aiming to win anything. Maybe she was just worn out from the constant battles, the endless loop of blame and frustration. Was Christine going for real peace? Or was she being clever? That question became the hot topic. And for the first time since they split, Christine's reasons were as mysterious as the man she had left. Fans started wondering if Christine's change wasn't entirely her idea. Reality TV lives on surprises, after all. It feeds on drama. There was only so much mileage in a simple tale where Christine is the one who suffered and Kody is the villain. The show needed layers, mixed feelings, changing sides, and sudden shifts. Producers for Sister Wives have always guided the story with careful choices in what to show and how to edit. What if, off-camera, Christine's milder comments were suggested or even nudged along? A kind gesture could spark anger, questions, and tons of online talk, all keeping the show in the spotlight. Some fans figured Christine was smart enough to see this. She knew her words mattered, and that she had become a main draw and crowd favorite. Calling Kody a good guy ensured buzz, whether she believed it or not. It kept her story front and center, stayed relevant, and kept the focus on her. But others worried. If she was giving in to pressure from the production, was Christine still being honest? Or was she becoming just another role in a show that often mixes tricks with real life? Either way, her comment worked. Viewers were hooked again, unsure if they were seeing Christine's plan, her true feelings, or the producers pulling strings. Under all the open statements and social media fights, a quieter question lingered. Was Kody still pulling the strings with Christine, even from afar? Over the years, fans had watched Kody's quiet control, how he could steer talks, shape how things were told, and hold on to a sense of power long after the filming stopped. Even separated, Christine might not fully shake off his impact. Some watchers feared her voice wasn't alone. Calling him a good guy could be an unconscious nod to his lingering pull, a way to ease the story in a world where Kody's say had always been the loudest. Others guessed it could be direct pressure, calls, messages, or hints during family meetups. Christine had always fought hard for her independence, but influence often works in sneaky, steady ways. The question wasn't about anger or direct clashes. It was about who held the reins. Could she truly speak her mind? Or was Kody's reach still guiding the tale, one careful word after another? Either way, that idea added a fresh angle to the unfolding drama. Christine's drives weren't just hers anymore. They were tied up with old patterns, family pulls, and maybe even Kody's silent hand. At the core of the Brown family tale were Christine's kids, who had grown up dealing with a maze of favoritism, strict guidelines, and emotional gaps. They weren't shy about sharing because they had lived the splits in their family up close. Many of Christine's children had called out their dad in public, pointing to times of unfairness and poor treatment. To guard against more letdowns, some chose to stay quiet. Others voiced their upset boldly, echoing through talks and online posts. For them, Kody's demands had always been a hard fact. His care came with strings, tied to rules that often felt random. Now, Christine's words added more layers. By saying Kody was a good guy, she built a fresh angle, one that hinted fixing things was possible. How would the kids take it? Would they see their mom's comments as a spark of possibility, a shot at repairing broken bonds? Or would they feel let down, like their hurts and stories were being watered down for the sake of appearances? Their views mattered a lot. Christine's positive outlook could either build healing or add more strain. How the kids reacted would decide if this part of the Brown family's path led to coming together or more splits. For once, Kody Brown stayed quiet. In a family famous for bold statements, online hints, and intense talks, his silence rang loud. Fans and watchers waited for any hint of his thoughts. Would he take Christine's words as a bridge to better ties with his kids? Or, with his rules and conditions, would he brush them off as empty? In Kody's world, quiet was never just nothing. It meant something. Some took it as a quiet nod to Christine's milder take. Others saw it as a plan, Kody holding back, thinking through his options, ready to step back in. But fans were left guessing. The man who had long steered family matters wasn't giving clues. So, the story fell to Christine and her kids to shape. His no response left an empty space, one that mixed worry and expectation. In that quiet, the Brown family's next steps hung in the balance. Every child, supporter, and observer waited for what came next, knowing it could reshape views of Kody, Christine, and the family they had all followed as it played out on reality TV. Christine's unexpected comments didn't just surprise people, they split the sister wives community right down the middle. One group backed her up, admiring the class and wisdom it took to say something positive about a man who had caused her so much pain. These supporters saw her as a smart mom, teaching her children that letting go, or at least holding on to hope, was within reach by choosing calm over chaos. The other side wasn't as kind. They blamed her for toning down the facts and rewriting the past for reasons they didn't get. How could she call him a good guy after spelling out Kody's domineering ways in her book? Some even claimed she was under someone's thumb, Kody's, the producers, or the need to fit a public role. The back and forth became a wild ride. Fan groups, comments, and online discussions buzzed nonstop. Every fresh post or talk got picked apart for clues. Christine's reasons drove the story as much as her words did. In the end, the split highlighted a key part of being in the public eye. Christine couldn't control how people took her words. Fans who once stood together now split into sides, with every opinion heavy and every detail checked closely. Christine had begun crafting a life on her terms, away from Kody's constant watch and the Brown family's old patterns. She had tied the knot again, found her own joy, and built a space free from rules, favoritism, and public judgment. This fresh stage gave her a clear view. Christine didn't have to battle for notice or approval anymore. Her power now came from the steady confidence she carried in her own space, not from shouting against Kody. In this context, her comments about Kody being a good guy clicked better. Maybe she wasn't fixated on Kody's mistakes or the old hurts anymore. Maybe she was zeroed in on what she could handle, her own calm, her kids' tomorrows, and the positive mark she could make. Her new setup didn't wipe out the history, it just put it in a different frame. Christine's words had moved from being all about Kody to focusing on openings, positive vibes, and finding that steady spot between honesty and moving forward. Letting go isn't simple, especially when the pain runs deep. For Christine, Showing kindness toward Kody came with risks. By calling him a good guy, she opened herself to questions, backlash, and even blame from fans and family. Her kids might feel pulled in directions, wondering if their pains were being pushed aside or ignored. The world might misread her as soft instead of thoughtful. But Christine knew the tightrope she walked. Choosing to let go, or at least seem to, wasn't about okaying what happened before. It was about creating room to get better. She had seen how holding on to resentment could harm her kids and herself. Bottling up anger could wreck bonds more and leave marks that stick around. Still, the risks were there. Forgiving Kody in public might hand him more say, let him steer the tale again, or build false expectations for her children. Christine understood the path was slim, and one wrong step could undo years of her growth. Yet, despite it all, she picked positive feelings over bad ones, proving that in the Brown family's tale, true guts wasn't just about leaving. It was also about knowing when to extend a hand, even to someone who had caused deep harm before. Living under the lights has its costs, and Christine knew that better than most. Every word she said, every move she made, got broken down by fans, reporters, and even random viewers. Calling Kody a good guy ramped up the heat even more. For years, people had praised Christine as a symbol of truth and standing on her own, the woman who left a controlling marriage and shared her side without holding back. She had built her image carefully, piece by piece, through her toughness and drive. Now, one comment threatened to muddle that picture. Fans debated without end. Was she rewriting things, getting played, or just picking a new direction? One marked by looking ahead instead of staying mad. Every take mattered, not just online, but in Christine's and her kids' heads. In this setup, you couldn't ignore what people thought. Christine had to pick her words with care, mixing strategy, kindness, and realness. She knew that in reality TV, how you come across often hits as hard as what you do. A single line that gets twisted could rule headlines and fan chats for weeks. Each thing she said turned into a thoughtful choice, aimed at keeping her true self while guarding her children, her family's past, and the fresh life she was making beyond Kody's reach. In the midst of all the guesses about Christine's comments, one person stayed in the shadows, Robyn Brown. As Kody's other wife, often viewed as his top pick, she had long added strain to the family. Robyn had kept her spot, both in Kody's eyes and in the bigger sister wives picture. Christine's kinder words about Kody naturally put a new spin on Robyn's role. Would Robyn see this as proof that Kody got a bad rap and deserved better from everyone? Or would she wave off Christine's comments as no big deal, figuring public views could never capture their private family life? Robyn being there highlighted a bigger point. In setups like the Browns' polygamous family, words carry multiple weights. They're not just talk, they're loaded with feelings, plans, and sometimes even power plays. Christine's decision to speak nicely about Kody didn't stand alone. It touched Robyn's place, the kids' lives, and the show's ongoing drama. Under Robyn's influence, Christine's message grew more layered. The spotlight moved from just Kody to partnerships, outlooks, and the tangled connections that made up the Brown family. Christine's words didn't fix the family mess. They stirred it up more. By saying Kody was a good guy, she started talks, guesses, and endless what-ifs. The Browns' already tricky story suddenly got even more unpredictable. Fans and critics alike struggled to match Christine's new comments with her past honesty. Some figured she was just showing progress and class, while others wondered if she was trying to tweak the past. The tale had depths of uncertainty, flips, and curves. It wasn't straightforward anymore. The family's inner workings stayed unclear. Tensions with Robyn, the kids' links to Kody, and Christine's own road ahead all hung in the air. No easy fixes or clean wraps. Every statement counted, and each reply shaped the growing story. In that sense, the Sister Wives saga mirrored the messy, detailed, and ongoing flow of real life. Christine's comments opened a fresh section, but not the close. The drama kept building with every chat, choice, and reveal. Behind Christine's steady presence and thoughtful words hid a lifetime of tough times. Years of letdowns, being overlooked, and clashing with Kody had left emotional marks that no public talk could erase. Calling Kody a good guy didn't mean she had forgotten the past. It didn't mean she excused how he hurt her and her kids or brushed off his actions. Instead, it was a picked-with-care statement, a show of class that let her hold onto her calm, watch over her children, and grab some say in the tale. When fans saw Christine smile, they often thought she was fully content. But those who followed her path knew each kind act had more to it. Every word mixed caution with looking ahead, a careful juggle between facing facts and aiming for better days. Her smile covered the depth of Christine's inner world, her care for her kids, her built-up frustration with Kody, and the smart thinking needed to handle a family and a watchful audience that never stopped. In this time of her life, Christine's struggles were quiet, low-key, but always there, reminding everyone that letting go doesn't delete history, and the path to class is seldom smooth. At the center of Christine's careful comments were her kids, who had come of age in a setup where bonds followed Kody's guidelines and care had conditions. Their commitments had been tested, and their feelings pushed hard over and over. Christine's words about Kody being a good guy weren't just for the crowd, they were signals to her children. She wanted them to see that mending things could happen someday, even if Kody's choices made it tough. She was laying groundwork for hope, letting them pick letting go on their own schedule. But the road held strain about how their dad handled them. Her kids had clear recalls and firm views. Some might find solace in their mom's words, while others could see them as minimizing their pain. Every talk, online share, and public chat became a risky spot where trust, commitment, and affection clashed. Christine knew the real struggle wasn't between her and Kody, but in her kids' hearts versus their dad's tangled past. The fight aimed not to come out on top, but to guide them toward recovery while blocking more harm. Now, all eyes turned to Kody. Christine had shared, the kids had reacted or held back, and fans were tuned in. His next move mattered big time. Would Kody grab this chance to bridge gaps, give a little, and start fixing ties with his children? Or would he dig in on his strict rules, showing his conditions were set in stone and any fixing came with terms? How he handled it could shift the whole Brown family setup. If he went with Christine's hopeful sign, he might begin repairing the connections he had overlooked for ages. If he turned it down, Christine's words would stand out more, pitting kindness against control and class against stubbornness. Viewers felt the build-up. Kody's every word, quiet moment, or small sign could swing things. His response wasn't just private, it was key in the careful mix of influence, feelings, and family ways. Christine's shift had laid the groundwork. Now it was Kody's time to reply. The Browns' tale stood at a major crossroad. After Christine Brown's stunning shift, the Brown family's story stayed up in the air. By calling Kody a good guy, she flipped the script, but she didn't settle anything. Questions lingered. What would her kids make of it? Would Kody rise to the idea of fixing things, or hide behind his rules and demands? The story was nowhere near done. Christine's comments had added new twists, but also cracked open doors. Kids handled their feelings. Fans kept debating without stop, and the family's inner shifts kept happening in surprising ways. Christine had stepped up with courage, class, and smarts, but she couldn't steer every end. Choices from Kody, the kids, and Christine herself would shape what came next for the Browns. In lots of ways, this was a tale without a true wrap-up. Each part built more tension, layers, and chances. Christine's shift was a key turn, not the finish. And in the sister wives world, where bonds twist, feelings run raw, and cameras never quit, the story would keep growing in directions no one could fully guess. The unfinished tale went on, showing the depth of letting go, family ties, and the shaky balance between looking ahead and facing what's real. Let us know in your comments and stay tuned by subscribing to our channel. Hey everyone! Thanks for sticking around through this deep dive into Christine Brown's surprising turnaround on Kody and the wild twists in the Sister Wives saga. We've covered a lot, from her bold exit and memoir revelations to that head-scratching good guy comment, the kids' struggles, fan backlash, and all the theories about producers, strategy, or genuine hope? If you're as hooked as I am on this family's roller coaster, let's keep the conversation going strong. First off, hit that thumbs up if Christine's story resonates with you, whether you see her as a strategic queen, a protective mom, or someone just seeking peace. And if you haven't already, smash that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss an update on the Browns or other reality TV drama. Your support keeps this channel alive and buzzing. Now, I want to hear from you in the comments below. Let's make this interactive, share your thoughts, and I'll reply to as many as I can. Here are some questions to spark your ideas. 1. What do you think motivated Christine to call Kody a good guy after everything in her book? Was it for her kids, a smart PR move, or has she really softened over time? 2. If you were one of Christine's children, how would you react to her comments? Would it give you hope for reconciliation with Kody, or feel like it downplays your own experiences? 3. Do you buy the theory that producers nudged Christine into those milder words to keep the show dramatic? Or is this all her own choice in her new independent life? 4. Kody's silence is screaming volumes. Do you see it as him plotting his next move, quietly agreeing, or just more of his controlling style? What should his response be to fix things with the kids? 5. How has the fan split affected your view of the show? Are you team Christine is mature and graceful, or team she's rewriting history and it's a betrayal? 6. Robyn's role in all this. Does Christine's kindness toward Kody change how you see her as the favorite wife? Could this shift family dynamics or just add more tension? 7. Thinking bigger, what does this say about polygamy and family in the spotlight? Has watching sister wives changed your opinions on forgiveness, control, or moving on from tough relationships? 8. If you could ask Christine one question right now, what would it be? And same for Kody. Would you challenge his rules or push for compromise? 9. Have you read Christine's memoir? If so, does her recent interview match up or feel like a total flip? Share your favorite or most shocking part. 10. Looking ahead, where do you predict the Brown family goes from here? Reconciliation, more splits, or endless drama? And should the show keep going? Or is it time to wrap? Drop your answers numbered if you want, or just ran away. I love reading detailed stories from your own lives if they relate. Maybe you've been through a family split or reality TV obsession. Let's build a community here. If this video sparked debate with friends, tag them in the comments. Remember, your comments help shape future videos. Maybe we'll do a fan theory breakdown next based on what you say. Share this with fellow Sister Wives fans, and let's get those views up. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Stay curious, stay engaged. What's your take?